There are a few keys to style flexing. Here's the formal definition of style flexing. It's using interpersonal acumen to temporarily adjust your behavior to manage tension and to encourage others to behave more productively with you. Flexing on the job is like going to another country and adjusting to the customs and mores of that country, their language, their rituals, and their preferences. Flexing on the job is knowing people critical to your success well enough so when you are communicating with them, you're considering their preferences and adapting yourself accordingly. So it's important to flex at key times in our professional and personal lives. Here are just a few. Throughout the sales process, when you want to be influential, when you have a presentation, maybe the first time you meet a person, if there are stress or conflicts that you suspect will emerge from the interaction you're having, and if you're addressing a customer problem or complaint. Here's an example of a situation that we're going to have a closer look at. Alex is a manager and director of learning and development. The group that he's responsible for is designing workshops that support the company's leadership development curriculum. Alex wants his direct report to be in charge of a team of peers to review an existing curriculum and make recommendations for revisions that align with recent needs assessments. As you take a look at this brief video clip, what does Alex say or do that creates tension in the discussion?
So Lynn, how you doing today?
Great.
Hey, did you have a good weekend?
Wonderful.
Oh, excellent. Yeah, Colleen and I, we went and visited our friend Gail, who's up in the mountains at the lake, and that was a lot of fun.
Yes.
Kind of crazy, a little hectic, but and a lot of people, so, but it was still good to get away.
Great.
Yeah. So much for the small talk. Let me just get down to business because I know you're busy and you don't have a lot of time. I mentioned to you last week about doing a project of heading up this review team to take a look at this leadership curriculum that we have here, and it hasn't been reviewed in 4 years. And you had mentioned to me a couple of times there were things in this program that you thought needed to change. So I was thinking, why not just ask you to be the person to actually head up the team? I'm thinking about maybe 4 or 5 people. These are people in the department. You've worked with them before: John, Colleen, Karen. The usual suspects. And I thought, you should be able to review this stuff in 30 days. And I'm sure you have a list of things that you think need to be changed and could be done differently. And I thought it would be perfect. And this is a good time of the year. In the summer, things tend to slow down a little bit. So. First of all, I was wondering, are you interested?
Absolutely.
Okay, good. I thought you might be. And what I would do is I put together some information here, just some of the highlights of some of the things I thought you guys would look at, and get going on it. So if you're good, I'll just turn this over to you, and you can get together with everybody. I haven't talked to everybody yet. I was kind of thinking, maybe you should talk to them. Or do you think I should talk to them? And what do you think?
I think I should talk to them.
Okay, so you want to talk to them? That's great. Then that's one less thing I have to do. Give me a call if you think if there's any problems or, I don't know, anything that you'd like to get more information about.
Okay, sounds good.
Thanks.
In that interaction, there were a few cues that you also may have picked up on. Alex did 99% of the talking. He had lots of personal or small talk. He used more gestures, and he had much more direct eye contact. His direct report, she had almost no talking, very few gestures, and her body language was much more closed than Alex's. In that interaction, having this type of interaction style cue, these gaps, would tell us that it's likely that Alex did not achieve what he set out to in getting her support, partly because he did not style flex to his direct report. When style flexing, there are 4 steps for you to keep in mind. You need to first recognize the other's interaction style. You need to plan your flex, both the content of what you want to discuss and the way you want to deliver it. You want to do the flex or hold the discussion. And then you want to evaluate how well you flexed. Let's use Alex's situation to go through the style flexing stages. Stage 1, recognize the other's interaction style. One of the things that Alex could have benefited from was to use the style recognition worksheet and to interact and observe with his direct report to see, is she more action-oriented left of the line or right of the line? And looking at these cues, Alex would determine, oh, she's more left of the line. Her body language, her voice, and her words tell me that. Her emotion orientation around body language, voice, and words, where does she fall? And Alex then would have discovered that his direct report was more left of the line and below the line. Somebody who's left of the line and below the line is an analyzer. The second phase is to plan your flex. Knowing this, Alex can create a style flex plan so that he and his direct report work most effectively. Alex knows that his style is that of an expressor, and Lynn is an analyzer. So they have two gaps around the action and emotion orientation. So Alex has decided that he will decrease the action orientation by having more controlled body movement, fewer hand gestures, and a slower pace. And he will also decrease the emotion orientation by providing more details and fact-based information and pause to allow the other person to think. He also added some additional strategies and preparation here. You'll see he says it's a good idea to provide information in advance so that they can think about what's being requested and to give them time to formulate and question. Step 3 is to do the flex or hold the discussion. We want to open in parallel, manage the middle, close in parallel, and adjust as necessary. Opening and closing in parallel are key times during the discussion or the presentation for you to be very aware of how you are managing your own behaviors and flexing to the behaviors and preferences of others. This is primarily because people will remember the beginning of discussions and ends of discussion, and that will help with your influence. We call managing the middle the crucial second cycle because often when we're in discussion with others, especially if there is some tension or it's a high pressure situation, we may slip into our own preferences and our own behaviors. So managing the middle simply is being sure that we are continuing to work our plan and making adjustments throughout. Let's take a look at Alex having an effective interaction style flex situation. What does Alex say or do that reduces tension in the discussion?
So Lynn, how are you doing today?
Doing great.
As you know, last week I had mentioned that I wanted to ask you to be in charge of a project team to review the leadership curriculum that we've had for the last 4 years. And I gave you some information about what the scope of the plan would be and who would be involved. And so I'm really curious that you had some time over the weekend to think about this. So what are some of the questions that come to mind to you about doing this project?
Well, first of all, I'm glad we're doing it. It's been a long time coming. We have a lot of feedback from presentations we've done that people have said we need to do this because of technology and just updating our services. So
Okay.
I'm glad we're doing it. Some concerns. Would I be in charge? Would I be allowed to choose the team members that we have, or is that something you would do?
Okay. So your initial reaction is this is something that's long overdue and we need to actually spend some time doing this.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And so there are a couple of questions. So who would be involved and would you be in charge? That's the first question.
Yes.
So to answer that question, I'm thinking you should be in charge because you're the most experienced person in the group. So you have 20 years, doing these programs. So I think you could add a lot of insight and some suggestions that maybe some of the other less experienced people may not have access to. Does that make sense?
That makes sense, yeah.
Okay. And in terms of who, I'm thinking it should be people that are familiar with the program, number one. So the names that came to mind for me were John, Karen, Colleen, to name a few, but I haven't talked to them yet because I wanted to get your input on whether you would like to talk to them or you would want my support. So I'm curious to know what you think.
Well, we've worked together as a team and we work well. We seem to feed off of each other, so I think I would be good with talking to them about it.
All right, so you'd like to head it up and
Yes.
have those one-on-one conversations?
Yes.
Okay. So the question that comes to mind for me is, what kind of support do you need from me in terms of having those conversations?
Just to reassure them that this is going to happen and that what they put into the program is of value.
Okay.
And then any kind of materials that we might need to update our technology or the document itself will be there for us immediately.
Okay, so one, confirmation that this is a go, and then also to get a sense of what kind of resources would be available.
Yes.
Okay, so this is definitely a go. I've got the okay from our manager, and I do have budget for this. In terms of what resources we need, part of the project would be to have you and the team come back with suggestions as to how extensive the changes should be and whether we need to actually procure some new materials or we need to update videos or whatever. So I'm not exactly sure how much of the budget we'll be using, and I'm not really sure of what exactly will change, because I'm expecting all of that to come from you.
Right.
Is that something you feel comfortable doing?
I do.
Okay.
I do have some concerns about the time.
Okay.
30 days is a pretty short turnaround for us.
Right.
And also due to the fact that I do have other projects
Okay.
that I'm taking care of. Is that something, I mean, is that 30 days a definite needs to be done? If so, could some of my other projects be taken on by somebody else?
So what's the level of flexibility with the deadline? And can we kind of juggle your workload to give you more time? The 30 days seems to be pretty firm.
Okay.
However, what I would say is that as you and the team get into this, if you find that you need more time, then let's talk about that.
Okay.
So there's some flexibility. That was a guesstimate on my part, thinking 30 days should be enough. But again, that was a guesstimate. And I'm trying to remember what the second piece to that was.
Oh, I have other projects that I'm working on. You know, this is
Yeah.
going to take away from those
Mhm.
projects.
Yeah.
Could they be reassigned?
Sure.
Could those deadlines be changed?
Okay, so in terms of flexibility around your current project load, yes, we can take a look at those. There may be some things that you don't really need to be doing that we could probably hand off to other people in the department. And if we shift around 2 or 3 of those projects, do you think that would give you a little more room?
Yeah, and I think doing that, the 30 days is workable.
Okay, all right. Then on that point, why don't I take a look at your project load and you take a look at what you're currently working on, and let's get back together and just talk about which one of those or 2 or 3 of those projects we can kind of shift to free up some time for you. So if we did that, would that help?
That sounds great.
Okay.
Okay.
So any other questions or any other concerns you have about this project?
No, I think basically that's what I was thinking about when I came into this. I think
Okay.
it's doable if we can move some things around, and I like working with the team, and I think we can do a great job for you.
Great. Thanks.
The fourth phase is to evaluate how well you flexed. Let's evaluate how well Alex handled that interaction. Did he improve the relationship? Gain social endorsement? Feel comfortable in using skills in managing the discussion? Experience resistance from the other person? Or gain support or agreement? Thank you for participating in the Style Flexing Key overview. For more information, visit interactionstyle.com.